What is the single most important thing you're going to do in your life? The single most important thing. I mean, think about that. What's the single most important thing you're going to do in your life? What if this video, what if I was going to help you discover what that was today? It has nothing to do with real estate, has nothing to do with making money. I know it's awesome. How is that even possible? I don't know. How is it possible that somebody could be this good looking and this smart? I don't know. I don't have the answers for everything, but I can tell you today is a pretty amazing class. I promise you this will be for the right person. This could be something pretty remarkable and amazing. How real estate investors can make a real difference by helping the terminally ill. That says ill. By the way, my skin shit's acting up. That's why I'm dressed like this. I got my scarf back on, even though it's 90 degrees outside. Awesome, Mayo, rhymes with KO here, BigRia.com. And today I want to tell you about something really pretty amazing. We work with special needs people, okay? I never do this. I never make a video about something that Anna made a video about, and I think she just did, and I don't know if hers is up first or mine's up, or which one's going to be better. I don't want to do that, but I don't usually parrot what she says, but this is something that's really cool. It's pretty amazing. So it's something called Project Legacy. If you're familiar with that program, you know all about it because you're familiar with it, right? But if you're not, this is something really cool. So within the world of special needs, SPED as it's called, special education, special needs. By the way, Indiana Real Estate, we're the #1 YouTube channel for Indiana Real Estate, BigRia.com. Also, the world's largest organization of special needs business owners and real estate investors. All kinds of really cool stuff, BigRia.com. The most amazing material. It's like, oh my gosh, how does he give this much away for free? Income ascension, social mobility. If you have any ambition, go there. You're going to love it. It's going to blow you away. You're going to be able to change lives unless you're a dickhead. And then if you're an LC, there's no helping you, right? But you're not like that. You're amazing. You're awesome. And you're going to love it. So go to BigRia.com. The thing is, within the world of special needs, right? We have SPED, special education people, right? And within that, we have mental handicaps, physical handicaps. We have addiction. We have mental illness, and we have terminal illness, right? Terminal illness, it's, bad stuff. Within terminal illness, there's different medical distinctions between debilitating diseases. Basically, your body's shutting down, like ALS. Remember the Ice Bucket Challenge years ago? I didn't know what that was. I knew what the challenge was, but I didn't really understand what ALS was. Now, unfortunately, I really do. Well, it's not unfortunate that I understand it, but I mean, if you don't, it's a luxury. You're lucky if you have no idea what ALS really does. Sections of your body shut down, and slowly you start to feel a tingling in your knee, and your knees go. You feel a tingling in your hips go. Slowly, different parts of your body just go dark. What they call go dark. You have no control over it, and eventually, you're on a respirator. You don't even have control over your lungs. You have to have the pump, that plunger that actually breathes your lungs for you, right? It's crazy. You don't even, in some cases, have the ability to blink your eyes, right? You become a prisoner in your own body. Here's the crazy part about that. You know what happens with your mental state, your mental cognitive state, your cognitive awareness doesn't change. Imagine that. It doesn't change, meaning you are fully aware of what's happening. You have no mental decline. You know what else happens? Your life expectancy doesn't change. So if you're 25 or 30, when this, God forbid, happens to you, you got decades left like that, where you're basically laying down and you're 100% dependent on a machine to survive, a respirator. And people always put those DNR or the basically unplug me stuff. But man, families have real challenges doing that when you start getting to that stage. It's a whole big thing, man. And that's just one. I'm only talking about one famous disease, and I became famous mainly because of those viral videos. But there's 100 other things you've never heard of, and other, just in things you have heard of, like just having cancer, having inoperable cancer, where the term terminal illness also incorporates people who are going to die, but also people who are going to have some life-altering, debilitating. Like I said, there's medical distinctions. What actually creates a handicap versus a debilitating disease. But the stuff is like really, really awful stuff. God forbid this happens to anybody, you or anybody you know or love or care about. But when it does, our medical, as much advancements as we have, there's many things out there that we just don't understand. We don't know enough about it yet to be able to cure it. And they'll just tell you there's basically nothing we can do. And you just kind of slowly wait for things to get worse. And there's like, for me and for like, all we do is try to help people in these categories and do stuff for them. And when you see people like that, it's like, what are you going to do? So we came up with this idea. A young lady had made a comment where, what if I could still communicate with this person after they're gone? This is how we started. The reason we started our transhumanism company, by the way, in Germany and Morocco, where basically we take you and create a digital version of you. Really cool stuff there, by the way, because you answer a bunch of questions, and then this AI essentially goes out and it watches movies, it reads books, it learns, it does what you would do, right? It's you, but digitally, and you can chat with it. It has its own phone number, its own email. You can have full communication with it. We don't have a point yet where it can, where it's able to do like video calls because it doesn't have a face yet, but we're working on that now. Where it can have a face and it can communicate on video just like this, and you wouldn't even know that it's not a real person. It is a being though. It is actually like a digital thing, and we're in the stage right now. If you've been following our testing with that company, we are in the stage now where that thing is actually going out and getting jobs. It's especially with remote working. What a time to do this! Where you could create a digital clone of yourself, and it goes out and gets. Imagine you create 4 clones. They all go out and get 4 jobs. It's pretty cool stuff. But one of the reasons we did that is because this trying to help people with this problem. So Project Legacy is not that. It's not transhumanism. There's a much simpler way to do this, because what if we could take your best ideas? Here's how it works. I need to go through this. Well, I'll just tell you this real quick. So Project Legacy, here's how it works. We started taking people who don't have much time left, and we started doing interviews with them, usually 1 hour a week, at least to start with. Then we did more. And in that hour a week, what happens is we sit down, we just ask you a series of questions about life, questions about what you want, knowing that sometimes people would tell their family that they're doing it. Sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes they would bring a family member in, like a couple. A husband brings a wife in for some of the videos, or a wife brings her husband in, and they talk about how they met and their love story. They share it because they know this is the last and only documentation they're going to have of it, right? But it's basically you leaving answers to questions for your kids, your grandkids, right? So imagine your grandkids are 5 years old, or your kids are 5 years old, because people, ALS, man, it's happened to people. You might think these people are old. They're not. They're younger than you, however old you are. I've had many people I've seen that have gone through these kinds of diseases, and they're much younger than me. It really makes you think, really, you got to love life. And you record these videos as messages to future generations, your kids, basically. So there's a whole algorithm we go through. I'm going to talk about that today. Basically, you're going to just leave one-on-one interviews, and you're going to explain life lessons, things you picked up, things you've learned, things you want people to know. And when you're gone, they'll get, or before if you want, but usually it's after. Most people choose that. They'll get the username and password for the YouTube account or the Vimeo account or for the video files, and they'll have hundreds of videos or thousands of videos that they can choose from, that they can watch from you. This has helped so many people, because now we have heroes who are doing the video editing, and it helps them understand video editing, choreography, lighting, camera basics, and stuff like that, and using software programs like Final Cut, Adobe Premiere. It's been a really just an amazing process. This project, we started it just a way to help people, but this has become one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life, and I've done some really cool shit. So this is really cool, and right now is a chance for you to, if you want, you can be a part of this, and you can, if you want to, you can open up your own little branch of doing these. So how real estate investors can make a real difference helping the terminally ill. This is an intro to our Project Legacy. Did I already say we're the #1 channel in Indiana real estate, right? And business special needs business owners, the largest organization, #1 channel for Indiana real estate. #1 channel on YouTube for Indiana real estate. This is an intro to our Project Legacy, right? If you knew you only had a few weeks or a few months left to live or to communicate, what would you do? What would you say? You would want to take basically the best ideas, the best things you have, and you'd want the best lessons you've learned. You'd want to capture them, memorialize them, right? Project Legacy is a way for you to leave recorded messages to loved ones that they can listen to forever. We started this project as a friendly gesture, and now it's become something pretty brilliant, pretty amazing, pretty beautiful, just like me, right? Very simple process. First, we sit down with a client once a week and we ask them questions. Each question is its own video, and it's stored and saved for the entire family, for everyone to watch when you're gone. The family, they may or may not know this is being done. This can be done over Zoom or Skype or in person. We do this with the COVID stuff, but you can do this over Zoom and Skype. It's not that difficult to do. It's the same stuff. Just, you're just recording a video. And I gotta say, it's really crazy when you know that you don't have, when people, one of the best lessons I've learned is when people really, there's so much BS we have in our mind, right? If you knew you only had a few weeks or a few months left to live or to communicate, if you know that you're not going to have control over your vocal cords for much longer, if you know you're not going to be able to speak much longer, right? Suddenly your priorities change dramatically, right? You are in a totally different place. You make your words count, really. And when you get around people like that, it just has nothing, it affects your frequency as well, which I think we're going to talk about today, right? Yeah. Am I doing good? Am I following along here? Because I feel like I kind of screwed this up. Now this is 500. If I missed anything, just let me know, right? So now it's 500,000. So it was free to begin with because we were only doing like 1 or 2 videos, but now we're doing a lot of videos. We're storing it. We're doing a lot of video editing, stuff like that. It's about $500 to $1,000 that we charge the individual if they can afford it. There's no one that is not doing it because they can't afford it. So if you can't afford it, just do it for free. People that they know what they're paying for. They're not paying for us. Sometimes we're connected with a school or a group, an organization, and we're using their equipment, their software, their lab. We have to have a place to shoot. Some of those we've shot right here. Some of we've shot in our studio room, but we could shoot those videos over Skype or Zoom. But once you get them, you got to edit them. There is work involved. And we want to hire one of our heroes to do this, which I'll explain that process. So you can do this pretty subtractively. Okay. This process is kind of a moneymaker now because it's not going to be a moneymaker for you. I wouldn't recommend you do that, but there's been a lot of people want to do this that are not terminally ill. I'm going to get to that because it's been such a cool thing. But this is not why I want you to try this. I want you to try this because of this. Okay. The biggest secret I've learned, if you go to the quantum physics class, Quantum Physics for Real Estate Investors, I explained that when I worked with Jay, my son, about he was being institutionalized, right? He was not going to be allowed to go back to school. That was the situation. It was about as hopeless as it gets, right? But what happened? He was not only able to compete within his special needs group, but he was able to compete in what they call Gen Ed, the normal kids, as they say, and be at the top of the heap, the top of the pile there. How was that possible? If you ask anybody, the results that we have right now with our special needs heroes and the progress that we've made, nobody on earth will tell you I hear this all the time with everything, like the real estate and stuff, like all of our stuff sounds impossible. It sounds crazy. I get it. But listen, man, I don't obsess over this shit to be like doing normal stuff, right? Like I obsess over this stuff, right? So I don't want to have ordinary results. And I've always said the #1 thing before you listen to anybody everybody. The whole special needs world has like their own gurus, just like the real estate gurus and internet marketing gurus. It's crazy. These people are like, it's just a whole, like, it's really, these are not great people, right? I'm not talking about the special needs parents. I'm talking about the people that are in this community that are kind of closed-minded, and their attitude is you just have to deal with it, you know? And my attitude is I think you can help them. I think that we can actually have them, not just for somebody, like, especially with somebody with special needs. This isn't me being like political or like diplomatic or whatever. I'm being serious. To somebody who is having to pump up their own lung with oxygen, but to people who have butterfly skin, look that up. The American Medical Association says it's the single most painful condition a human being could have. I know one of our heroes has it. I've seen it. It takes oh man, imagine your skin just slipping off your body. None of it sticks to your body. Everywhere, all of your body, all the time, there's these giant gashes. You have to dress up like a mummy just to keep your skin in place. It's insane. And as soon as you take it off, your skin all over your body, it's like you're being skinned all over your body all the time, constantly. It never stops. When you lay down, it doesn't stop when you lay down. When you go to sleep, if you don't get up and get the excess skin out of your mouth, if you don't do it fast enough, you can asphyxiate and die. That's what happens to people in this condition. For the first time in my life, I met someone like that, which makes my skin stuff, by the way, ain't no thing. People, if you get close, few people mentioned that in the video too. That's the stuff around my eyes, my neck. I got some skin stuff. For me to look like this takes a lot, but it's like, this ain't no thing, man. I got nothing to, I'm so lucky to have the condition I have. It's, butterfly skin is something crazy. What I'm saying is that when we get around people like this that have real shit going on, real problems, they're the people who have the most to complain the least. They're filled with gratitude. They'll say, oh, awesome. The ability to do a model is like the most amazing thing in the world. They'll go out and do amazing, wonderful, brilliant, spectacular things because of their frequency of thought. The reason that Jay was able to have his success, and I had parents coming to me saying, how did your son? I never went to anybody because I didn't really know what was going on. But I've talked about this before. I won't get into the whole thing now, but it was his neurologist that showed me the brain scan. And when he showed it to me, I realized that my life was going to change. I was going to get totally obsessed. That's why I basically became a volunteer, like an intern at a neurologist. I worked with several neurologists in universities about this very thing. Because for the first time, when I looked at the brain scan, when I looked at the brain report, I could see mathematically, physically, the difference we were seeing in his performance at school and his ability to deal with his issues. And it was after that I met Anna, and Anna did the same thing with her. She has 2 kids that have special needs, and she did the same thing with them. And they got off Prozac, got off anxiety, had all kinds of issues that she was able to almost completely resolve with this same process. We've done this now with countless people. I'm telling you that I have obsessed over this. I'm not saying I'm an expert at this at all, but I can tell you the single biggest secret I have to share with you, the most important thing you're going to do with your life, with how far you're going to go. The Project Legacy is what I'm talking about. That's the big secret. If you're wondering what's the big secret, awesome, tell me the fucking secret. I think doing the Project Legacy can really be something that changes your life. But if you want to build your business or do enter any area of ultra high achievement, it is this right here, this diagram. This is what it is. So basically your brain operates at a certain frequency, right? Different thoughts have different frequency. We have delta, theta, alpha, right? At the bottom, then we have beta. You guys have seen this. Beta right here. And then at the very top, it's gamma. This is usually about 30 to 50 hertz that we have. I can measure this. If I hook you up to an EEG machine, I can measure your brain waves just like your heart rate. An EKG. A cardiologist gets paid as much as a cardiosurgeon. Cardiologist doesn't cut you open. What do? They look at that brain, that doom doom, that wave. Go through the quantum physics class. I talk about the wave, the amplitude, the wavelength, the peak and the bottom. Every wave has those things, right? They can study that and they can tell you how old you are, how much you weigh, how healthy you are, how much time you have left on earth. They can tell you all kinds of things. A cardiologist, just by looking at your wave, your frequency of your heart rate, how many hertz you're vibrating at, your heart, doom, doom, boom, boom, right? Just that heart rate. Like if you have a murmur, if you have something that needs to be checked out, they can do all of that just by looking at your frequency. We can do the same thing looking at your brainwave. I can tell you what you think about. I can tell you, just looking at your brain, I can tell you what kinds of thoughts you have, the quality of your thinking. The higher the frequency, the higher you get. The lower the frequency, the lower you are. And I can tell your brain will remodel itself. Neuroplasticity, your brain will actually remodel itself based on certain thoughts. What you think about the most becomes easier to think about. Eventually, it requires no thought and it's just where you are. And whatever frequency that you're at, if you're used to being a dickhead or an LC, whatever happens, you can be introduced to the most brilliant, amazing, you can come across somebody as spectacularly beautiful as Awesome Mayo, and all you're going to say is, oh, it doesn't work in my area because I'm a fucking dickhead. You're going to keep coming back to whatever, we all come back, whatever you are on this spectrum, you're all going to come back. This is our thought hierarchy, our ladder of thought here, our chart, our thought chart here. You're always going to come back to whatever we're comfortable with. Notice, no matter what happens, there's some people who, no matter what happens, are always pissed, right? Some people who are always grateful, some people are always religious, some people are the opposite, always saying, oh, this is proof there is no God. The same thing can happen, but we all interpret it individually the way that we see it exactly the way we want to see it. You get what I'm saying? So what happens is that we each have a home, and all we do is use the external to go wherever we want to be, wherever we're comfortable being internally. You get what I'm saying? So this is super important. The very bottom of our thoughts here, when you're at the lowest possible frequency, the lowest quality thinking, is when you have resentment and blame. This is why you should stop watching the news. We do a lot of political polling. We have a whole company that does political polling, and it's amazing that I can tell in seconds if you watch the news or not. I can talk to somebody, and in maybe 3 questions. I can tell not only if they watch the news, I can tell you how much they watch and what channels they watch, which media companies they consume. Because if you watch the news, you're down here in the fucking gutter all the time. Blame and resentment. That's what you have. You're filled with. Now, as we move up, we get through having limitations. Everything's always limited, right? But then we have frustration, overwhelm, fear. This is where the frequency of thought, with the longer you stay here. Now, this isn't always like delta, theta, alpha. It's also when you wake up and when you sleep, you have to go into repair mode and stuff like that. But in general, when you're awake and alert, the quality of your thinking is related directly to how you feel. And it's not that, oh, I'm feeling a certain way. If you're in the middle of a tornado or like a shooting or something, yes, what's happening externally obviously does affect how you feel internally at that moment. However, how often does that happen? 99% of the time. How you feel internally is what determines what happens externally. We've talked about like the law of attraction, the secret, what the bleep do we know. The problem with things like that is that they don't ever like this idea of, oh, what you think about will come about. That's true. But can we mathematically prove it? This we can do. As soon as you start thinking about the right thoughts, other thoughts like that get stuck to it. They get attracted to it. And the more momentum you have behind it, the more you do it, the more it's not just thoughts, but we've talked about the Higgs field. Go to the quantum physics class. I talk about more about this. How the Higgs field, we are in this field of water. But if you were in the ocean and you didn't know what water was, you had no way of touching water, you would know it's there because everything's floating, right? I've talked about this at length. The Higgs field is the water that we're all in. And it's taking, if you could see Wi-Fi, you would see, what would that look like? Imagine how many Wi-Fi networks you see just in your house or at work, right? That's the same thing with our thoughts. It is a frequency that's being sent out. The only question is how big is that field around you and how strong does it attract things? That's the only question. There's no question that your thoughts are that T-Rex, the way it shakes that water in Jurassic Park, the strength, the quality of your thoughts has a bigger and higher frequency. All the trillions of cells in your body are always listening. You got to control your thoughts. It's the most important thing to do, is to take your thoughts from this low range where most people's are, because if you don't control your thoughts, why would you have high frequency thinking? But by having HFT, high frequency thinking, high frequency thoughts, you actually change how you feel. I can hook you up right now to a machine. It's very easy, an EEG machine, the shower cap, and I can tell you how you feel. I can tell you what neighborhood of thoughts you have just by looking at your frequency. I can tell exactly where you're at. And if you start thinking about something, if you start thinking about the fact that you're leaving like a project legacy or the fact that you're going to die, if you start thinking about high frequency thoughts, what happens is it immediately builds you up. That's what a hook does. That's what a mission does. When we say we're building the world's largest organization of special needs business owners, the people who've heard that for the first time, like, oh my gosh, instantly, because that's a high frequency thought for me, it's up here for me. Gratitude, optimism, courage, being unstoppable. The very height of your life, the best time in your life, you were the most grateful. You were filled with the most gratitude. If I ask you what the best time in your life is, gratitude is the equalizer. That's where you want to be. The more gratitude you have for every little itty bitty thing, we have something called the gratitude timeline. Go and sit down and really think about what you're grateful for in the past. Everything from like slavery ending. Why are you grateful for slavery ending? How did that benefit you? Exactly. You personally right now. Just find a connection, right? Think about something way back. Dinosaurs, being thankful because they're so pretty. That's one of our heroes, what they had written. Every day, find something in the past that you're never thought of before that you're really grateful for, and pinch and zoom in. Why are you grateful for it? Why does it matter now? Then find something right now that you're grateful for. The fact that you can use your lungs, the fact that your kidneys are working, that your eyeballs are working, there's a million things in this moment that you have to be grateful for. But then the magic is be grateful for what's about to happen, what's coming out because of your frequency, because of what you're putting out, what's coming your way. What is the universe bringing you? Be grateful for what's going to happen. I'm grateful that things happen so easily. I'm grateful that I get another brilliant video from Oz and Mayo and BigRia.com. I'm grateful for whatever. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm getting in shape, that this fat is just shedding off my body. Speak these things into existence, but you're doing it through this very scientific approach of actually changing your frequency of thought. If you knew everything was going to work out, what would you do? What would you attempt to do? This is why we're doing this. Why the Project Legacy? When you get around people who actually have real shit going on, you're never going to complain. You're not going to be somebody that sits around thinking, oh, I've got to do this or I've got to. It's not like you have to do anything. You're going to be in a position where you get to do stuff, and you're going to be deeply thankful that you get to do these things. You get what I'm saying? I got this skin stuff creeping up, man. Oh my goodness. I just don't want it to be like off-putting for you guys, because I got like gashes and stuff. It's like a mix between eczema, psoriasis, and dermatitis, seborrheic dermatitis. So anyway, that's why I've got to, sometimes I get like bleeding and stuff like that going on randomly. I've got these like raccoon eyes and stuff. It's all good, right? It's so that I'm not too, because when I'm at 100%, I mean, let's face it, I'm just too intimidating. My good looks are just too intimidating, right? Sexual magnetism. No one man should have that much sexual magnetism. It's just too much for anybody, right? It just goes right to my head. So it's good that I've got these things to keep me in check. Guys, you got to keep your frequency of thought. It's the most important thing you do. It's not about, oh, well, I'll feel good when things are going well. That's never how it works. It's the fact that it is the frequency of your thinking that actually creates these realities. And that's what Project Legacy does. This is not something I expected to happen, but when you get around people that have real stuff going on and you help them leave their legacy, it immediately changes your frequency. When you're talking to people who are leaving messages for their loved ones, it changes how you feel. It changes what you do. Down here at the bottom of our frequency of thought, we have frustration, disappointment, weariness, worry, always overwhelmed, right? Always, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm I'm confused. That's where you're at with when you have dickhead thinking, right? You're always going to be here expecting creating the worst outcomes, always expecting people to hang up and cuss them out. And then people, what do? Hang up and cuss them out, right? When you're at this low frequency thinking, right? This is where we have delta, theta, alpha. Each of these represents a different frequency. Delta, theta, alpha, and beta. You can go through my class on quantum physics. I go over this in depth. At the top, when we have gratitude, we're filled with gratitude, where we have joy, hope, passion, knowledge, enthusiasm, a hunger to learn, appreciation, expecting, and creating. We have these two things that are always happening. I've said this before. Every single person, I don't like to say this because I don't want to be like, I don't want a bunch of dickheads. By the way, we leave Anna's phone number. You got to text her first. More and more people are calling her, and I get it, but just text her first, please. Be respectful. Text her first, because I don't want to take the phone number off. I want people to be able to say, like, these videos are made by real people. loveitbigria.com, 317-969-5619. Text Anna first. The thing is that, it's an amazing thing. Every single person that I work with, every student I've worked with right now is on the way, or they're at 10, 20, 30 grand, 40, 50, 100 grand. Ain't no thing. The field that we have, the group has, the group of students that I work with, that I train with, the clients and the heroes, everything. We are in this place where we are creating time dilation. We are creating a field that it is impossible to not succeed in, to not be an ultra high achiever. Nobody's doing okay. Everyone's killing it. They're making records every week. Everyone that comes around us, their life immediately improves. This is why, because as soon as I only traffic in what they call those ideas that move men's blood, right? So when you start working with the companies, come up with a hook, come up with a mission that's something that's inspiring. Why? People, I asked Anna, how much money do you make from the one sentence? How many deals have come? How many motivated seller leads have come from the sentence, we are building the world's largest organization of special needs business owners and real estate investors? People, if you have any concept of special needs, you're going to take that number. You're going to be like, you know what? I don't need to sell my house right now, but whenever I do, that's who I'm calling, right? It's at least $200,000-$300,000 a year that is made just from that one sentence. At least that's how many deals people will flat out tell us, you know what? So-and-so mentioned that, a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, and I saved your number because I knew if I had anything, she gets calls all the time now, emails and texts saying, how can I help you? What can I do to, I want to be part of the mission. I want to be part of to help you grow your business. I buy homes, guys. Don't get messages like that, right? This is what you do. Get your frequency of thought up, and it becomes contagious with other people. Great outcomes always. They always create and experience great outcomes. And it's not so much about having things always work out for you, but it's about making things however things happen, make that the best way, right? It's not about things work out for the best for the people who make the best out of the way things work out. I love this quote here. Whenever you read a good book, somewhere in the world, a door opens to allowing more light. That's what happens every time you get your frequency up. It becomes easier to do. There's more light in your world. There's more light that you're able to bring in other people's world, and it's easier to actually do it again. And eventually that's where you get. As soon as you get out of bed, you should get out of bed like a bullet. Right here at the bottom, the formula for the LC, it's very simple. Always focus on yourself. When the worst times in your life, you just focused and moped on yourself. What else have you done? You've always focused on the short term. I need money now. I need fucking money now. Right? You can just look at the comments, the things that when people, the nastiest, the worst you are is when you're focused on yourself and on the short term, and the focus on lack of possibility. You feel tiny and your challenges seem enormous. What happens at the opposite happens here. The formula for badass, focus on others, on how you can help others. Focus on the long term and focus on the endless potential, the endless possibility. How many possibilities and endless things you can do with your life, and all the countless ways you can help people. The greatest achievement, I love this. This is a James Allen from As a Man Thinketh. The greatest achievement was at first for a time a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn, the bird waits in the egg, the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs. Dreams are the seedlings of reality. Okay, so Legacy Project is perfect for high frequency thoughts, high frequency triggers. Memento Mori, and the highest person, the Roman general ancient Rome was the superpower of the world at the time, and the highest honor was a general coming home from a military victory. He would have parades in his name. He'd have dozens of women that he could have his way with. People would name their kids after him. It was crazy. Parades, all kinds of statues, and all kinds of ways of honoring and praising this individual. During the whole time, they had a slave person, someone far beneath you in class, status, influence, would be right behind you, and their entire job the whole day would be to say the words Memento Mori. Remember, you must die. This is all temporary. All this stuff. You, me, man, we're here for just a flicker, just a blink of an eye, man. We don't have much time. That's what Project Legacy is really. It's really, man, I don't even have. This is what this has done. Like, I started. This is why. Holy fucking shit, man. I got stuff going on. Brother, please, I just don't want it to be off-putting for you guys. I don't mind it. I just don't want it to be weird because it's like, man, this beautiful person's, bleeding. It's just not good, right? The whole thing of this legacy stuff, it's the idea that you are taking, oh man, it's been such a crazy thing. It's not just been people now. Almost everybody involved with the project has started doing it. And this is something that's happened now that I didn't expect. I myself, I'm doing it. I started doing this now. I'm doing videos now for an hour a week, and I have somebody ask me questions because you want that accountability. I know I could just do it on my own, but you want that accountability. Somebody else there asking you questions. We also have algorithms with how to trigger certain reactions from people, how to get the most emotion invested in these questions. There's a whole algorithm. I'll go over some of that in a second. But Memento Mori, you're going to die. All this is temporary. We're all heading in the same place. Just think about that always. If nothing else. Steve Jobs said the fact that if you tell yourself you're going to die every day, one day you'll be right, that should give you the greatest motivation for anything. And that you came in this world naked and you're going to leave this world naked. So don't ever think you have anything really to lose. Legacy is planting a seed in a garden you'll never see, right? This is a famous thing. This famous line about that. That is a high frequency thought. When you're recording a video, I want you to try this, okay? What I just went through, the high frequency. How do you get yourself up to the gamma? There's a series of thoughts. We have a series of exercises. We've done this with, it's very easy to do once you get good at it. The first thing is to realize how important it is that you get up there, that you get into this place, whether it's tapping into flow, we call it tapping in the universe. Tesla called it the source, whether it's the Socrates called it the great being. People have different names for it. We can mathematically track it. I can see it on a computer. We can show you the numbers, the frequency you have to be at. This is not just some hyperbolic thing or some, soft idea. We can not only get people there, but we're seeing the results of what happens when you get there and you train yourself and your body and your mind, your spirit to get to this place of consciousness, this state of being. You can do it regularly just with your thoughts. Your thoughts should be to you what the sun is to Superman. It's like your thoughts are that phone booth. Clark Kent goes in, Superman comes out. And this is one of those high frequency thoughts that if you sit down, you record a video that you know will not be watched when you're alive or when you're fully functional. You're leaving it for who? So one of the algorithms we have is we say, look, pick somebody in your family and you're talking directly to them. Forget everyone else. And when we have a series of questions I'm going to go over that trigger the gamma, like immediately, if you were to say like, what's the secret to life? Or what do you want? What should they look for in a partner? For example, this is a big question. Like, how do you know you found your soulmate? Then we say, okay, so if that's a question, think of a person you're going to make the video for. Ask yourself, how did that situation come up in your life? How did you know? What's a mistake and what's something you want to take away from? And then at the end of that, the bow we put on it, we always end on a positive. Like, what's the big takeaway you want them to have? Put that lesson in like one sentence that you want them to have. And what happens is we give the questions to people sometimes ahead of time, like a day ahead of time, or sometimes even longer to give them time to think about it. They follow this algorithm and they come up with great stories and great morals and great lessons. And it's just this amazing thing where like, if you took the best ideas, it's like they say, no living organism, the only way a living organism ever learns is from mistakes, but the ones that survive learn from the mistakes of others. If you sit down with people who are in this category where they know they've got limited time, their thoughts immediately are high frequency thoughts, right? They're immediately at that gamma. They're immediately full of gratitude that at least I get a chance. It's an amazing thing. We're talking about people who are going to go through the most painful, awful experiences that you could possibly have, and yet they're filled with gratitude. It proves to you that how you feel has nothing to do with the external. It's 100% internal. You feel exactly however the fuck you want to feel. And that, how you feel, where you choose to be mentally, is what shapes the external, right? So it's an amazing thing to see people that have had these like crazy conditions, and all they're doing is telling me how grateful they are for this project or for the project. Like, it's an amazing, these are people who, have, and then, of course, the people who bitch and bellyache the most, the people who've got the most, you don't have any real problems, right? Especially if you're in America, man. There was a quote we had, it's easy to get rich in America unless you're a lazy dickhead or an LC. Everything's easy, man. And you'll learn that when you get around people with real problems. But what happens if you have to think about recording a video for your son about soulmates, we have the different algorithms we use to trigger, so you can start to tell, a story from beginning to end, and it's not just rambling. But even rambling is great, because if your great grandfather had a series of videos that were on YouTube or that you were able to watch, you would have watched all of them growing up, right? These videos will be shared at Christmas. They'll be shared at holidays, at gatherings. They'll be shared, and you have no idea the impact you can have just by having people. We put these videos out on the internet. We've had there's high frequency thinking I have. One of our best examples is a hero that watched these videos at his library. He was homeless and he used them to get his first house ever. And it was one of our testimonials. It's just an email. I don't even know what he looks like. I didn't. Now we do. But we get testimonials like that. We're getting some really good ones. And that one in particular sticks out to me. It's a high frequency thought. As soon as I hear that, I'm high, man. I'm right at that 30, 50 hertz. If you told me that story before versus after, you could see my frequency rise and you could see me get to a place of gratitude and enlightenment instantly. And now when I tell you that, if that moves you, guess what that's done? That same unit of energy has now done the same thing with you. It's pretty remarkable too. Like, think about, I took that image that he sent to us in a text, in an email. I took that, it went in my head, that piece of energy. Now I'm saying it verbally. I'm using my vocal cords to express that wave. It goes into your eardrums. It goes into your brain, that piece of energy, and it has that effect on your body. It has that T-Rex stomping effect where your whole body feels it, right? That's the power of thoughts, man, the energy. Nothing more contagious, more powerful than idea. This is why normal people have been asking us to do this. Now people who aren't going through problems said, you know what, I want to create a Project Legacy too, because it triggers your gamma. You instantly become more grateful and more thankful to be alive. It's just really a cool thing, man. It's pretty cool. So 3 ways for you to do this. First, help others that actually have fatal conditions, that have, illnesses and stuff like that. Help others who just want to get this recorded and memorialized. Anyone who's maybe doesn't have mental illness or some, handicapping or terminal illness. And do this for yourself or in your family once a week. Start, and then you can just add to do it more, but start with just do 1 hour a week. Sit down, record some of your thoughts, your legacy. If you're going to do this for other people, which is what we recommend, if you want to set up like your own little division, your own franchise of the Project Legacy, there's a website. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe it'll be bigria.com. I don't want to say the website if I'm wrong or if we're not going to use that, but it'll be at Big Ria somewhere. We'll have like badass stuff and we'll have Project Legacy, and you can go and you can download the exact emails, the exact requirements, how we connect with schools, how we connect with different universities and different NPOs and different special needs groups and different organizations, and how we don't actually connect with them. They were all in our group now, but now that we have heroes who are actually building businesses now, video editing businesses, like they're doing wedding photography and stuff on the side, and they do the Project Legacy as their main business, or they may do the other stuff as their main business and Project Legacy on the side. I'll give you all those resources, because if you can help one person do this, right? When I said what's the most important thing to do with your life, is this not, how better would you feel about your life if you helped one person record a legacy for their family and their families? We get emails every day, I'd say at least 4 or 5 times a day now, every other day, would you say? We're getting emails from people that are telling us, I just watched so-and-so video again and again, and we'll go watch that video if they let us, or if they want us to. And I remember recording some of these videos, and I'm like, you know what? When he said that to me, or when she said that to me, I thought that's a really good idea. That was a high frequency thought for me too. It's a pretty cool thing that you're able to help these people do. So 3 ways to do it. Do it for people who have terminal illness. Do it for people who don't, that just want to record this, and do it for yourself. The master, this is pretty cool. This is like the secret to life, right? Enjoy the accumulation. If you can enjoy the accumulation of effort, work, all that stuff. My fucking bleeding. I hope it's not on this, we got this high power camera now, and it's gonna, every droplet of blood. The master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his information and recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he is working or playing. To him, he's always doing both. This is the secret to, like, this stuff sounds like a lot of work, right? If it is, don't fucking do it, because you're just gonna be a pain in the ass. But if you actually take the time to go out, this stuff is a lot of fun. You're able to go out, change lives, able to help people do amazing things, and able to really create a life of meaning for yourself and for other people. I fucking love this shit, man. I think this is one of the coolest things. I love this, man. I think it's, this is really cool, man. So if you want to do this, again, we'll help you do this. You can set this up. We can do a Big Ria Project Legacy. If enough of you, we have several people doing this now, maybe like, I don't know, maybe 5, 10 different groups, I'd say, or different people doing this. We have, I don't know how many interviews have been done every single day now, because this, it becomes something you're addicted to. It's not work. I promise you, when you do this, you will feel it, man. You and me have overlapped. Our stories overlap for a reason. There's a reason you're here. It's not just, the way that, it's not just coincidence. You're supposed to be here for a reason. This may be the very reason, right? Forget everything else, the real estate stuff, the business building stuff. This may be it. You can help someone really achieve a state of heightened awareness and help their family and I fucking love this, man. It's just really cool. And I've never been that excited about something that didn't make money. Like, this isn't a moneymaker. Well, I don't know if never, but almost never. To franchise this and do it for yourself. So first, you want to contact a volunteer hospice, special needs group, hospitals. Okay, so we do have, this is what we're doing right now. So this is where our heroes, to get, people who are, terminal illness and want to record a message. Special needs groups, hospitals, nurses, in-home nurses, medical assistants, oxygen services, local schools, surgery centers, rehabs, mental illness places, addiction treatment, neurologists. This is, your neurologist, man. You should go work with a neurologist. Take what I just said, go volunteer for a neurologist, create an internship for him, and start looking at brainwaves. You can start seeing what happens when people, I've done this now with hundreds of different people, and I can sit down and tell you, especially like when I explain what I'm doing with my, I had the success I had with my son who had special needs. I'm just curious if we do this enough, what happens? And once you keep going to high frequency enough, your brain just automatically does it. Your entire brain reshapes, remodels itself around saying, you know what? We're done being a dickhead. This guy wants to be serious. Let's operate at that level. That frequency ripples through your whole body, and you become a completely different person, a much better person. To do interviews, first it can be you, just you on your own, doing them over Skype or Zoom or something, but you involve a group as soon as possible. We have a group doing it, and then they can take over, and then they can do the interviews. So now all of our interviews are done subtractively. I just sit in on ones that people ask for me or something like that. Sometimes I sit on them in general because I like doing them. I like asking the questions. I like just talking to people, getting to know them, especially when you know what they're going through, you know their background. And people have stage 4 or stage 5 cancer. Now you're thinking, what is stage 5 cancer? You probably never heard of that. I never did. I know more people that are no longer with us now in the last couple of years since I started working with the special needs with our groups than I have my entire life before this. And when you have somebody with stage 5, basically means they don't know how they're still standing. At any moment they could collapse. And these are people who are making videos for their parents. This is really, really pretty powerful stuff here. All right, so do the interviews at first. You want to involve a group, and then they can eventually possibly take over and make money. Like we said, the 500 to 1,000, they can actually create money and create a business out of that. It's like a little side income. So the people, the heroes, whether they're young people, it doesn't matter. They learn video editing. They learn these skills. They can start now where they're using recommendation letters. I've written, I don't know, probably a dozen or so around Project Legacy for people that are able to go out and put this on their resume that they were in charge. They were a director or something of Project Legacy. It's a pretty cool thing. When people hear about it and they see it at a job interview, how badass is that? You can use our emails and process below. You basically need 2 parties, interviewers and interviewees. leaves. That's all you need to get this started. Everybody is dramatically better off. First, the legacy leaver gets to share their autobiography, right? Very cool. In video form. Second, the editors learn video, marketing, communication, etc. They learn how to communicate with people, ask good questions. For your compliance dialogue, the most important thing is emotion. You get huge emotion here. You understand what emotional intelligence is. I have a series of, I don't even want to talk about this because I end up being a little fucking bitch about it, but we, every single semester we've had, one of our heroes is no longer with us. And when somebody passes, we leave their desk empty. Every year that I've been doing this, there's a desk that's empty. And it's a thing because we start like one year and like the class is not the same. And we don't know who it's going to be, necessarily, but it's never the same. The class is not the same. There's people that are there and then they're not. And it's been something like we take a picture of the desks that are empty, and it's something that I keep up, and we keep up in our room here when you walk in. Anyone who knows what I just said, you can look at that and you instantly know what you're looking at. Somebody who doesn't know, it just looks like a room full of a few empty desks. There's a bunch of people in the room and then there's a desk or two that are empty. But people don't really, if you know what it means, you look at that and you have an instant emotional assignment to it. One of the things that one of our heroes who passed, we had this challenge. She got a birthday balloon and she tied it to her desk, and we were all talking about how long is that balloon going to last on your desk. And we all took different bets: 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 7 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks, 13, 14, 15 weeks. I think 14 weeks was the longest one, how long that balloon would last. And then we put them all in a hat, and when everyone drew an answer, whoever got the answer was going to get like free ice cream. Whoever got the right answer. And she drew like 12, 13 weeks or 14 weeks or something like that. And afterwards she walked up to me and she said, "Hey, if I'm not here when the balloon comes down, can you make sure that my brother gets the ice cream?" And I just thought, it's one of those high frequency thoughts for me. Like, I think about that now because she no longer is with us, and the balloon, I just think, like, I had that balloon in the other room. It's still up, actually. It's been quite a bit longer than 14 weeks, but she would have been the closest one to winning. I imagine getting a balloon for your birthday, and when you look at a balloon, that balloon is going to outlast you. There's a good chance, a good possibility. That's how much time you have left. That's what I'm talking about. That kind of shit is real shit. Don't be a fucking pussy and to get these, emails and LC stuff, man. Be thankful. Love life. Be thankful for the big, if my stuff, by the way, I'm totally serious. We've been saying this bluntly to people. Listen, if my stuff, at the Big Ria stuff, anybody that knows what they're talking about, anybody who knows anything about business or copywriting or business building or anything is going to go to bigria.com and they're going to tell you, like, this guy is fucking brilliant. Anna is fucking brilliant. Like, this is amazing, life-changing, earth-shattering, groundbreaking. Oh my gosh, what they're doing here. Anybody would say that. If you don't feel like that, that's okay. Just move on. Go somewhere else where you do feel like that, where you feel connected to the deep current. Your life is too short. You don't have time to be led down blind alleys, and you don't have time to reverse. Only go where your frequency, you can feel the frequency of your thinking rise. You feel yourself getting chills and butterflies just with your thoughts alone. That's where you need to be. If this isn't doing that, the Project Legacy or anything else we do, go on, go wherever go where that does that for you, because that's exactly how I do it now. We don't even don't talk to anybody, don't work with anybody. That's why I work with, when people we get constant, and I'm getting all these application requests for me to train people. I only want certain people. I only want people who keep my gamma up, who keep my frequency of thought up. You get LCs like, does this work in my area? That shit makes you want to jump out a window, right? You got to fix your frequency of thinking. You can take something as simple as a balloon, and every time I see a balloon, every time I see a gift basket, every time I see a birthday, ever since then, it actually, like, I experience something. I feel something like magical. I feel this sense of gratitude, of just love and appreciation for what we have. I don't know if this makes sense. I know this sounds kind of like, out there, but it's like you can see the ordinary and experience the extraordinary if you focus on your thoughts. If you get to a place, I just look, honestly, when I look at that balloon, I do this, I don't do it every day, but it's like, when I think about it every day, but when I look at it, like, I actually feel something beautiful and emotional. Like, it's an amazing thing. Like, I look at something, like, I become kind of like a basket case, but it's like, I try to take all those and not have the negativity attached to it, which I'm still working on, because I still do get like a little mopey and a little like down, like sad about stuff, but I got to be thankful because we'll all be together again eventually. Oh, fuck. The universe wastes nothing. We'll all see each other again. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. What the hell's going on? All right. The thing I'm saying is that when you understand what the high frequency thinking is and you understand how to trigger it, you can get there at will. It's not that hard to do. You can trigger high frequency thinking and build something with real importance. Eventually this can be a moneymaker for the group as well. Ideally, this alone becomes its ladder. This hasn't happened. No one's making 10, 30 grand a month with the Project Legacy. We do have our first people that are doing wedding photography and other types of photography that are making 10, 15 grand a month. No one's made 30, 40, 50, 100 grand a month, but they will, because it ain't no thing. And everyone that comes around me gets rich. Everyone that comes around us gets rich. Everyone that comes in the project gets rich. Raise your gamma, make things happen. Are we done? Okay, so here's examples of high frequency questions. Okay, I want you to think about this, all right? What is the best? Think about leaving. I'm not asking you. I'm asking you to record a video, right? To record a video for your son, even if you don't have any kids, for your wife, even if you haven't met her yet. If if you want to meet the love of your life, right? Let's say you haven't met that special bitch, right? And you want to meet somebody. Start recording videos, being thankful that you found someone who has X traits, X characteristics. Even though that person doesn't exist and you don't know who they are yet, right? They're out there. That person is out there. Start being thankful that they're coming closer into your life and being thankful for all their wonderful things. And then when you meet them, give them these videos. Say, hey, I knew what you were long before I met you. And I spoke you into existence. I spoke you into our world. The RAS does that. Reticular activating system. Go through the quantum physics class. What is the best? So here's an example of a video. What's the best measure of a person? What would you say? Now, again, we have an algorithm where we say, pick one person you think of. Think when is the first time you realized that this was a question, or the first time you thought about this, and what's a lesson you learned in your life. So we have different algorithms we use when we ask this, but we start with a very simple question, like, what's the best measure of a person? And they'll sit there and be like, it's a good question. And now let's break it up into categories then. This is another algorithm. We break it up into categories. What would be like one measure? What would be one bucket or one thing to check off? What's something that we always know? Another one. What were your biggest victories and challenges so far? We notice we say so far. We don't want to talk like it's the end, but what were your biggest victories and challenges so far? Think about what was an early victory that you had. When I said victory, or when I said a win, or when were you a champion? When did you have your arms raised in the air and you do the V that everyone does? When was that time? When I say that to you, what's the first memory you have? Just start talking about it. And what happens, again, it triggers the gamma. And when you meet people, especially because sometimes you don't know these people very well, and all you know is that they have some illness and that they're at the end, and you start asking these questions, you get to know them at such a deep, powerful level. I've had two people that I know that were moping. They were dealing with all kinds of personal issues. In one case, I shouldn't say moping. He was on antidepressants. He had real depression and, chemical imbalance, not like just moping around. I shouldn't have said that. I meant in general, like I say that about me, but in his case, one of these people was a real situation. He got it totally cured just by being like the cameraman and doing these interviews because it fills your gratitude. Another example, before you go to sleep, always ask yourself, today, did I blank? So I ask you, this is like, if you were leaving a message for your grandson, even though your grandson's not born yet, what should every day before they go to sleep, they should ask themselves, did I help somebody? Did I love today? Did I whatever? What's a good question to ask that would be a good measure of the day to know that the day was successful? So what do you want your last words to be? The last sentence you ever say on earth, what do you want it to be? What do you want to be said at your eulogy? If you were to write your eulogy, how would it start? What would be in the middle? Who would write that eulogy? And what's something that would definitely be included? What are three things that you definitely want to be said that he blank, she blank? What about your eulogy? What do you want to be on your tombstone? Have you thought about that? Just think in terms of memento mori. You're not going to be here forever. All this is blink. It's going to be gone in a blink, man. What do you want this to mean? What do you want it to say? Think of a quote. Think of a book or something that you have. If you only had to read one book 100 times, what book would it be? When's the first time you read a book and you actually got chills or butterflies thinking about the message in that book? And if you didn't, that's okay. A movie or something like that. A scene or something that's always stuck with you for some reason. These are all these high frequency thoughts, right? They trigger that gamma. What's a big mistake you learned from and want me to avoid? This is like your son asking you, your daughter or whatever. When did you know you were making your parents proud, right? So how do you make your parents proud? How did you know you were doing it? As soon as we get there, we get filled with gamma when you go back in our memories. When did you know that you're making them proud? If you had one thing you could go back and change, what would it be? What's one thing throughout your life? How do I know that I found true love? This is your son or daughter or great-grandson or whatever asking you. How do they know? How did you know that you found true love? What was it like? What was the weather like? What were the movies that were out at that time? What did you do? What did you first hold hands? When did you first kiss this person? What did you say to them? How did you meet them? How did you know who felt stronger the first, or was it mutual? And get really with it. You don't want to get like raunchy with it, right? Of course, hopefully it's not like a porn star, like a one night stand thing, or like I met her at an orgy or something like that. Although we have had some really pretty interesting things when people talk about this, about true love. Like how they knew that person was the one. It wasn't, I've had interesting stories on that. How did you know? How did you do it? How did you propose? How did you talk? Things, go through somebody's life and ask them like, what are the highlights of your life? And how should somebody recreate those highlights? How could somebody go out, live a life, and when they have these special moments in their life, what have you learned from your life that would help them get the most out of those moments when they do it for themselves? What should I do about it? What should I do when I find true love? What if I feel strongly? What if I like somebody at work and they don't like me? This is a big question that we get. And everyone always says, go, fuck it. Just go tell them. Nobody says, oh, just stay quiet, stay reserved. You don't want to embarrass them. No, nobody says that, because when you know, and when you realize that you're going to die, when you realize that this is all limited, it gives you bravery. It's the thoughts that, again, it's like the sun to Superman. It fills you to the brim with confidence, with courage, with absolute bravery, with nothing but gratitude. Bravery really comes from gratitude, knowing that no matter what happens, ain't no thing. When would I know I made you proudest? How would you let me know when you're gone? They'll say, we've had some really amazing things. Go to the oak tree and I'll, breathe the gust of wind that comes on. I've had some really pretty amazing stories about this. Like, ask yourself, if you're talking to your kids or your grandkids, how would they know they made you proud? What would be something that they've done? And then how would you let them know? Like, if you would all, flicker a light, or I'll, turn on the TV or something. Like, well, what would you do if, I'll do something. And it's a pretty insightful thing. So we've had such a great time doing this. It's been a life-changing process going through this. How did you, oh my goodness. This was the number one question I got, how to deal with bullies. I actually recorded this video. I won't get into all of it right now. How to deal with bullies. I will not get into all that right now. This was the most, I should actually, because the biggest question I got, I had like over 10 different people ask this question about this. And we had different questions about this. So the one question was this video I made. One of the guys that had watched that video, the legacy video that I made, he actually was going through addiction treatment for heroin. And he actually said, watch that video is what inspired him to be totally a cold turkey and to do it immediately. And he's been clean now for 2 weeks, the longest he's ever gone his entire life since he started using. He's clean now because of the video. I won't get into that story right now. If you guys want me to, let me know. But that's a question that I got. And I went through my life. I told the story, which I haven't said before. It was crazy. It was just this totally bonkers story. But this is an example of high frequency thinking. Okay, so hopefully this all makes sense. That's the explanation of Project Legacy. If you want to do it, you can do it for yourself. Nobody has to know about it. You can do it on your own. It helps you get your gamma up. It helps you get your frequency, your thought or frequency up, right? Do it for other people. We'll do everything we can to help you do this and help you build your own branch if you want. Project Legacy, man. Everything. I keep saying this. It's all about thought control.